Hello and welcome. Good evening, everyone. It is good to see you. And of course, it is good to be seen by you. I hope everybody is doing absolutely wonderful. I, of course, am your host, Bill Sylvie. And we have a really fun show tonight because I have a guest, not just a guest, but one of my favorite people in this here circle of RPG-ness that we enjoy. You guys have, if you've been following the show, you've seen him on before. If you don't follow my show, then you will certainly know him by his works. He is the author of Swords and Wizardry, the open source reimplementation of original Dungeons and Dragons. He is just an all-around swell guy. He's the big cheese in charge at Mythmere Games. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a close personal friend of mine, Mr. Matt Finch, to the show. Matt, how are you?
You always do great introductions, Bill.
I do my level best, man. You know, I like to think that Uncle Bill's TV Clubhouse deserves just a modicum of professionalism, and I try and bring that. How are you? I say, how you doing, Matt?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, I'm doing great. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting some weird stuff through my internet, so if I, disappear or turn fuzzy or anything like that, it's probably, internet here.
Completely understand. So, yeah, when you hit me up last week and told me about this project you had going, I of course was really intrigued. So, I've got it here. I've got it installed. We're gonna share this with you guys. So if you're expecting, another dungeon module, or the Swamps of Peril source book or something like that, this is completely different. This is
completely different from anything. Yeah. Are you firing it up now?
So, I have it up. I'm actually I'm running it on my editing, writing, working, gaming PC over yonder, and I am piping it over to this PC through Steam. So you guys are going to be able to see the stuff that we're doing here. I love this user interface already, but I'm getting a little bit ahead. Matt, what have you got for us? What are we going to be looking at tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, the news isn't really totally out there yet. We've done some updates on the Kickstarter and a couple of little social media posts, but what we're doing is it's a digital version of the Tome of Adventure design, but it's also something different. It's sort of step one in a larger project, which is to put together something that's a suite of tools for on the one hand, the creative side of creating adventures, and then we also want to do something that has sort of a one-click kind of thing, where if you just need something, for this evening's game, you can click something and it'll do a whole full output. And we realized pretty early on that number one, the one-click adventure is something that is going to take a couple of years to do. And we also realized that when you're pursuing the one-click adventure thing, what you're actually doing is foreclosing a bunch of creative avenues because you've got to make everything work. And so that caused it to become a branched tree product that on the one hand, we definitely want to keep working toward the thing where you can just get something that's new by clicking a button, but we didn't want to sacrifice the creative tool, which is more important to me. And I think to most of the people who are at least currently familiar with the Tome of Adventure design, is it's a creative tool. It doesn't do all of the work for you, and the way for it to work well is to spark your own creativity. So it became a branch tree kind of operation. What we've got here And you've got a demo copy, which is still a work in progress. So the program also will recognize the fact that this is basically a done thing, that there's just details. But to a layperson like me, you still see glitches and things like that in it,
Right.
which are all being ironed out. But the tool that we're doing in this Kickstarter, and there will be later Kickstarters, but for this Kickstarter, it is an interactive Tome of Adventure design that rolls several tables at once, in groups that we think right now are the right groups to roll them in, and we'll get a lot of user feedback on that, I think.
Okay.
But by rolling several of them at once, you get something that's kind of the inverse of the way that the Tome of Adventure design works. So Tome of Adventure design, you know what you're looking for. You go to a table, you see a lot of different options for that one thing. And this sort of reverses that whole process. You see several tables with only one outcome, but you can re-roll them. And part of the re-rolling thing, we'll talk about it when you get it fired up. Part of the re-rolling stuff isn't in there yet. But because we're actually going to allow people to re-roll parts of a thing, and that dropped out in order to do another thing, and now it's being put back in. So later versions will show that partial re-roll, but unfortunately we can't show it on this show. But that allows you to sort of zero in, by choosing from your table and getting it closer and closer by successive approximation to the thing that you want to have. And so it's I'm discovering sort of law of unintended consequences, that this actually has a very different feel from using the book of Tome of Adventure Design. Well, you can give me some feedback on whether you feel the same way when you start playing with it.
Sure. Sure.
But in short, it's an adventure designing tool. It draws on tables. It's got groupings of tables, and then the other thing that's going to be in there is the thing that lets you program your own tables in there.
That was my next question. Can you program in your own tables?
You can. You don't use them in the Tome of Adventure Design part of the interface. There's a whole second tool in there, and again, that it's like a week thereabouts probably before we have a prototype out there for people to play around with. But that one, it's basically the same internal workings that are driving the Tome of Adventure Design thing, but you put in your own, and we'll also have the tables from Tome of Adventure Design that you can copy and paste into the working part of that table designer program. So you'll be able to reconstruct it, but you won't be locked into the architecture that we had to build to make the Tome of Adventure Design work. So if you want, to use the location table thing in there, you won't have as many of the pre-programmed things. So you just take it and lift it and use the parts that you need for what you're trying to do. Okay. So that's for a later show, Bill, and we will do that show once we've got the table designer, and you can play around with the table designer.
I hope so, because I got to tell you something. And for those of you who are waiting, like, Matt and I are dancing around. We got this big wrapped up box on stage, and we're like, it slices, it dices, it julienne's fries. We're going to open this in a second, I promise. But that's like, so to me, the most useful tool, and people's eyes bug out when I say this, but hopefully you know where I'm coming from. The most useful tool for the AD&D Dungeon Master is still Dungeon Master's Assistance Volume 1 and 2. Okay. Well, the Dungeon Master's Guide when it comes to a physical book, but applications, I still find it worth running DOSBox to run Dungeon Master's Assistant Volume 1 and 2. But the problem is those are nearly 40-year-old applications. Using them is, to call it a chore is being far too kind. They're Byzantinian in their undocumented intricacies. So something that is new that I can plug that kind of flexibility into, it thrills the heck out of me. So I'm excited about this. And I am sure once I've had a chance to play with this, and once you've gotten some feedback, I'm assuming you've got a beta group working on this too. Once people have gotten a chance to crack their knuckles and really dig into the guts of this thing, we're going to see a lot of good feedback about that. But So without further ado, shall we just show the good people what we're looking at here?
Yeah.
All right. So let's add to stream here, and then I'm going to do this, and we are looking at the tool of adventure design, if you will, kind audience.
Yeah,
so
the branding that we're using for it is Fantasy Adventure Builder, just to sort of distinguish it from the Tome of Adventure Design, because this is going to morph and become more than that later on, which is why we've got, Fantasy Adventure Builder rather than just this is the Tome of this is the Tome of Adventure Design app.
Okay. All right. So take us through here. Let's just assume that person's just cracking this open. Where do we go first?
Okay, well, the particular place that you've opened it up here to My Generators, this is actually going to be the area where once you have designed your own tables, this is part of the program where you will be able to run your own tables.
Okay.
So this is the interface for running your own tables, and there are some that are in here. And some of this I haven't actually seen yet because I didn't go to this part and the last build I saw. So, it looks like we've got the in generator. We've got my ancient Greek names. And the reason that's in there is because I'm doing a table that will do the history of a magic item. And so the ancient Greek names is basically just one part of this is the Archmage's name.
Okay.
So there are going to be a lot of tables over there on the side when this is all done. But for the simplest one, you could probably go ahead and click on the in generator. Anything you want to click on. All right, so you've chosen your thing, and now you want to go over to either that button or the reroll button up on top of it. They do the exact same thing.
All right. Well, let's generate an in. Okay. So, and we get here Inn of the Torch. We got an innkeeper, Troller F.
You can scroll down through there. What these are is each of these is a separate table. Each of these little header things like innkeeper's personality trait, that's a table. And the reason that it's important that that's a table is that when we have the partial reroll thing, a lot of them you're going to be able to go to any part of it that was generated from its own table, click on that, and it will reroll that part. And that's not in there yet. But so, this is basically just, it's a whole swath of, different tables. And then you're getting a re-roll option there when you mouse over it and it colors it and with the thing. And so you can re-roll that one thing already.
Okay. Who's up for snails with red sauce? It apparently is the special of the house.
There you go. And if you don't like that special, you can click on that and, get something different.
Braised wild boar. I made some excellent pulled pork last night, so I think we're gonna stick with a theme and go with that. Weird services or secrets. Now I'm all about that. Sells tobacco. Let's see. Some inns are more special than others. So we get a little commentary. From whoever made the table. I like it. We can go back up, and it's not just what's in the inn. We get the innkeeper, Finis, who is one of them. True neutral.
I like tieflings.
I knew there was something off about you, Finch.
Well, I know they're new. I know they're new, but and I know that it's a Cambion, but I like tieflings.
Fair enough. You've done enough good that I think we can overlook it. We can give you a pass. So, personality traits is easily manipulated by others. We can change that. Is afraid of the undead. Is very religious and always brings God to the conversation. Services, food and drinks, rooms for rent. So you can go through and you can set all of this. Special services, storytelling and games. Well, maybe we want something. Bard, dancer, that's more my speed. Bard, dancers, and gambling. Let's see. So we've got our let's try some different weird services. One of the waiters is a thief and often picks pockets of the clients. Well, that's a service that more works for the innkeeper, but but I like this, and this is nice and simple. And I think that's one of the things that DM assistants, and I was talking about Dungeon Master's Assistant Volume 1 and 2, which, for as powerful as they are, Yeah, it's like it's text, kids. That's it. That's what you get. And then on the far end, you've got something like that is a whole virtual tabletop, this is not, by the way. If you're wondering, hey, is this a digital D&D game? It's not. It is a Gamemaster's assistant tool.
Yeah, and in fact, along those lines, so just so we sort of talk through the whole usage of the thing. So now if you go down, you've got keep and re-roll. And if you hit re-roll, it'll re-roll everything in the whole thing.
Okay.
But hit keep.
All right.
Okay. Now, what this has done is if you go over to, I'm pointing my finger at my screen, which you can't see. If you go down to where it says notebook at the bottom,
notebook.
Bottom right.
All right.
Now click on that. All right. Now, what it's done here is this has saved everything that you generated on that other screen into into a notebook. And now here, I believe that it's already workable. Is here you can click and change these things by typing.
Sorry about that. Windows there. Let's see. So I can
try clicking somewhere
and just say always brings.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So this is where you would make your modifications before dropping it into when you go down to the export thing. It doesn't work yet, but that's where you will be able to drop it to a PDF and probably to a doc if you want to do it that way. I assume you're going to have a choice of the two. We started with a PDF back when we were thinking this was going to be a thing that you could generate, with one click, and then we backed off from that and said, no, wait, it's because that's killing the creative tool side of it. So, there's it's an evolving process, but that export button is then where you will be able to save stuff that you have been typing around with and changing it. So it sort of goes from here's the program part, and then here's the notebook part where you can make your changes, and then you can export it to another thing.
Can I put in, and this is all sincerity, if I can put a vote in here, export to text. I mean, literally just .txt.
That may be what they've got in mind. I'm not the one who's doing the programming here. I should mention it's a company called Brave Alice. Funny that you mentioned VTTs, because that's their main product out there is a VTT called RPG Stories, which has a stunning 3/4 view thing. It's like Baldur's Gate, only cooler. It's really, really nice VTT, but they're the ones who are doing the programming on this. It's a joint collaborative effort. So anything that I say about technology is 50% chance to be wrong. So.
Right on. I wanted to answer a question real quick in text there, but somebody, Fornelius Noland asked, how do you output to PDF? It's coming.
It's that export. It's that export button. It's just that's disabled right now.
Yeah, it will be the export tools. Let me see. Do we have a permalink? There is a link to the Kickstarter in the description box, or there should be, so you guys can follow up with this, because this is this is fairly beta right now, as my understanding. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, that it is. Although the functionality is basically all done. The thing is that there are whole networks of tables in there that do link up from one to the other in the tables themselves using sort of proto code. And so, that part of it is still, where the bugs are. This is going to deliver within 30 days after the point that the Kickstarter funds get processed, or even faster, because it's basically it is basically done. As you can see, the UI interface is there. All of the stuff is, so it's going to be a very, very fast. Unlike most software Kickstarters, this is going to deliver like lightning after the Kickstarter is done, because we're still 5 weeks away from the Kickstarter.
Excellent. I've you know, obviously we're in a completely different space, but I mean, you could walk across the Atlantic Ocean if you printed out a single document of every computer application offered up on Kickstarter that either is late or didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
You know, and just laid them edge to edge. So that is very good to hear. Now I see something here on the right, and I've been thinking about this all day. There's this inspirations section, and I have a couple of questions about this. First of all, what is it? Which hold on answering that. But the second is, I see that it fades cycles. If I see something here that I like, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that, but I got to go to the grocery store. I don't want to lose that. Is there a way to stop that? Is there a way to...
I don't think there's a way to stop the scrolling through, but what you do is you mouse over it, and then it gives you a little download thing. And so when you mouse over it, if you click on that, I believe what happens is it goes to your notebook.
Okay, and I just saw my notebook adjust slightly. Inspiration.
So that's,
right there.
So that's
okay.
how that's done.
Okay. All right. And the inspirations are just that. This is not, for anyone out there, well, I guess it's just push button D&D. I don't have to do that. No. You see inspiration, Alamia, that's what you get in your notebook. It's not like Alamia. So I click on that, and then in my notebook, it's stat blocked. It's come up with a bunch of generative ideas. No, it's literally just there. So, that kind of answers my first question, because these are just things so we can come in and we can throw in that one and purple flames and 3 groups of 5. And then we've got all those things in, and they're all just like that. They're not.
I mean, it basically came from, so you've used the book Tome of Adventure Design. And the thing with that is that, every once in a while you get a table where the result is either too boring, because it happens to hit the standard responses to a thing, or something that's just so weird that you can't figure out how to reconcile it. And so the thinking, and the book also has these in the margins. And what it is it's a corner of the eye inspiration that can help you if you're like, wow, well, this table's boring. Well, hang on, let me look over here in the margin, grab something, and oh, okay, if I use a stolen cloak in conjunction with this otherwise boring table result, then now this suddenly becomes interesting. So it was sort of like a third dimension in the book. And once again, I'm not really and people really, really loved it, so it's in here. I don't really know how it's going to work in terms of the computer program. I suspect that it's going to be really useful, but like I said, a lot of the things about this are, it's kind of taking on a life of its own, like the genie out of the bottle. And so, we'll see how people use that.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, that's not a function of the program. I don't know if Windows UI is kind of worked up, but my mouse pointer is turned into the download link thing. Yeah. So it's not, there we go. It's back to normal now. Okay.
Now try hitting the X, and let's get out of the notebook, and let's try and get to and let's try and get out of my generators too. Let's see, how do we get to where we are here?
All right.
These are all disabled except for the exit. Try
there we go.
There we go. Okay. How'd you do that, by the way?
That was, let me go to my generators. That is, we have my generators. We have this little caret left here.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's go to the adventure builder, which is that's the area that I've spent, where it's probably a little more developed. So this is the Tome of Adventure Design here.
Okay.
And so here we've got starting points, create monster, and eventually we can go to create monster, and I'll show you, one of the bugs that we're working on at the moment. It's something that's going to be fixed tomorrow. But let's start with the starting points up there, which is basically the beginning of the book. So it's the part that people are probably the most familiar with.
Okay. On starting points and starting points.
And so here you have basically, it's an item-based mission. It gives you a patron from the table. It gives you what the patron or target's motivation is. And then, in this one, it gives you the villain's plan, what might be promised to the characters. And so it's sort of a shotgun of all of the different questions that you might have right at the beginning of writing an adventure about, how does it begin? So, possible information source. The villains, this is just a food getting villain. So it's either somebody who owns a bullet that they've got to feed, or they're trying to feed an army or something like that. And then every good villain has a good lieutenant or an interesting lieutenant. So there's tables for generating the villain's actual lieutenant.
Right on.
And then if we scroll back up and then hit re-roll, let's see if we can get a location-based adventure.
Alrighty. So right there, location.
There we go. So here is the standard thing from Tome of Adventure Design, the table that everybody loves. The drilling cathedral of the mechanical fungus.
Okay.
And you'll be able to click on different parts of that and change that once we get that part going in. So that'll be kind of fun. You can decide right at the moment. All it'll do is re-roll the entire thing.
Okay.
Just to give people, who are familiar with the book, an idea of how this intersects with the book. This is the part that is similar to the book.
Right. And if you're like me, guys, I mean, once the table design system comes in, I would imagine, Matt, that if you've got the gumption, if one wanted to just plug the Dungeon Master's Guide into this, you could do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kellery did that with there was a program a lot like the table designer thing way back in the day called Tablesmith. And now you can't get it without accidentally downloading WinRAR 5 times before you find the right thing.
Right.
But and Kellery actually did that. He got a bunch of the tables from the DMG. But yeah, you can absolutely plug them in. No problem. If anybody's got a PDF that's not a graphic file, you just copy it.
Right. But I mean, I guess there'll be some format that you'll have to follow, but it is still a magnificent looking tool. I'm digging this because so many times, I mean, when you run a decade-long AD&D game, any fantasy role play, whatever you're doing. I don't care if you've got Metagaming's Lords of Under-Earth and you're a little strapped for an idea. Being able to click one of these buttons and just get some inspiration sparked there is just phenomenal. And I like all the little options here. Now, will this be a function, or is this a function of your table design? To come in and right here, right now, before I put it in my notebook, add or edit anything in here? Can I come in here and edit this, or do I add it to my notebook first with keep?
You add it to you have to add it to your notebook first with keep, because otherwise it screws everything up. If you allow the user to change something here, it causes all kinds of problems. And so that's why it's kind of like 3 different parts. It's like, here's where the computer's functioning. Here's where you can make changes, and then you can export it.
And here we are. We're back in the notebook, guys. When we did the inn earlier, when we played around with stuff, and look, the race of the innkeeper got changed. I wonder how that happened. But now everything that is on our previous page is also in your notebook. So the notebook is universal. All the stuff you're doing goes down in the notebook. The notebook is omnipresent throughout the options. Yeah. And I love it. I'm here for it. That is a great option. I like it a lot.
Because I'm thinking, the way that I will be using this is probably I'm going to do a whole lot of dumps into the notebook of, here's something interesting, put that in the notebook, put this in the notebook, put this in the notebook. And then I'm going to go to the notebook and probably start culling things out. But I think other people work differently in terms of how they put it together. So we'll see. We're going to adapt this based on, user feedback, because, this is kind of uncharted territory, which is, weird in this day and age, but I don't think anyone has really done something that has this particular spin in terms of an app. So.
Oh, yeah, no, this is, and to go back, and I know I've been bitching about this, you're just going to have to put up with it, Matt. Bill Sylvie, salty opinions, who'd have thunk it? But no, so many apps out there the UI is just the learning curve is brutal.
Yeah.
Somebody sold me on one. They're like, man, don't use the Dungeon Master's assistant. There's this one, and it's actually made for Windows. And Matt, I swear, I thought I was going to have to dust off my CS degree to figure my way around this thing. It might have been everything in the Dungeon Master's guide, but I'll be damned if I could get through that UI. But this is slick. This is so very, very, very slick, and I want it all now. Give it to me, Matt. Give it to me. Load it on my PC, Matt. This is really, really nice. Now, let me ask you this, because I think probably some people are going to wonder about this. I certainly am. Will there be a mapping? I mean, squares, grids, all that feature included in this?
Okay, not in this Kickstarter. There, like I said, the Brave Alice, they do have a random dungeon map design thing, but in the Tome of Adventure design, there's something that approaches the map in a different way. And so let's actually click on dungeon map, and I'll show you.
All right, dungeon map.
Okay, click on that.
And there we go.
So here's what this is. These are areas. It's areas and transitions. And right at the moment, we've only got about 3 of these, because if you turn something upside down, it's not functionally different. So, you can turn it sideways, turn it in any direction. So scroll down a little bit. Okay, so transition A, and I really should have started with area A. So area A is going to be the antechamber. That's where you get into it, and you get a topography generated. It's excavated with cut stone blocks or field stone, brought in for walls, blah, blah, blah. Rooms and chambers, and this is the way that it's done in the Tome of Adventure design too. It gives you a certain number of rooms of chambers, and some of those are of unusual size, and some of them are not. And then if we keep scrolling down a little bit, like keep scrolling down. Okay. So arrangement of rooms. All right. And this is where a lot of the difference comes in, is the arrangement of rooms. In this one, you've got a connecting corridor that forms a square, circle, or rectangle surrounding an internal area, and about half of the rooms, which were mentioned above, are enclosed, and the other half are on the outside. So in this one, it's a sort of a circular type of arrangement. Now re-roll that one thing. So just mouse over arrangement of rooms and chambers and click on that. So here's a different one. This is a single connecting corridor with several suites entering into it. So in this one, you've got a long corridor, and then you've got things that come off from the side. And what that does is, so now if you, transition B, this transition is an architectural trick. The trick is basically a concealed bridge or walkway. And so what this particular part of the program does is it says, here are how they are arranged. Here is how they are all connected, because if we keep scrolling down, it does all of the areas and all of the transitions.
Right.
And then you create your own map based on the description of the schematic that's in there. And what that does is it creates this system of people talk about the JQuaying a dungeon being number one, or JQuaying a dungeon, which is having the multiple connections between areas, and also the idea of pinch points where when you're exploring a dungeon, if you think about B1 in Search of the Unknown, there are certain landmarks, there are certain areas where okay, we've achieved a thing, we've done this part of the dungeon, now we're moving on to the next. And so this sort of replicates everything that I know of about the old school feel to the overall way that a dungeon map is created. And so that's what we're going with in this Kickstarter. And then probably in the next Kickstarter, whenever it is that we do a significant update to the thing, which will probably be adding in more as we're moving toward the one-click thing, it'll probably have that thing where here's just a dungeon map and here's a randomly populated dungeon map. But this way is more the dungeon designer's approach, I think, in terms of directing it in that way.
If I may, the first thing that springs to mind when I see this is, did you play the old text adventure games back in the day on the Apple, the 64, whatever, Zork?
Zork, yeah.
Yeah. This is how they told you to map. when they would describe in the instruction book, when you're making a map, just have little boxes and make notes and have arrows going. I came from playing pen and paper D&D when I got Zork, or actually it was Adventureland on my VIC-20. It was even before I had my 64. And I wanted to draw D&D style maps, but of course it doesn't work like that because the text adventure doesn't say this is a 60-60 by room. There's a hallway leading to the north that's 10 feet wide and 10 feet high and runs 40 feet to a wooden door. They just describe the room, and you're supposed to just, arrow to the next box and maybe scroll in, thief is in this room, dropped my sword here. So that's what this brings to mind in a very positive way, because it is a very simple way of doing your mapping and then proceeding outward and drawing your map yourself. I do like that option. But it will be nice to see an auto-gen map blossom out of this. That will definitely be an interesting turn for sure. Now, my eye is drawn over here to Dungeon Traps. I got to click on Dungeon Traps, Matt. We must punish the adventurers for being clever. There we go. We didn't keep this roll to our notebook by changing chapters. You'll lose. Well, I want to keep this. I rather like this. So I'm going to click no. And we're going to keep that. Now we're going to go over to Dungeon Traps, and then we're taken there. And we get that.
So once again, this is a bunch of different tables, and this is an area, this is something that gets a little non-intuitive. The basic mechanical trap just gives you the effect for the trap. And then the next one down, basic mechanical trap concealed trigger, that keeps the effect from the other one, but it's describing an entirely different trap. And then by the time you get down to basic trap rigged natural feature, that's just an entirely different trap. And the reason is you're seeing several different table results. So it's not slick, but it's jumbled in the creative way that I think actually causes creative juices to work. So
right on.
And there's your magical one. So this one's a magical trap. It's got a mechanical trigger, but what it releases is a magical effect, which in this case is a transformation, and then optional special effects, frost or ice.
I like this, man. I really, really like this.
And then down at the bottom is your extremely complex trap, and that'll probably end up getting retitled, but because what's happening is that's coming from a different chapter of the book, so it's got a different title thing on there. It's a complex trap, and I don't know if you mouse over those. Do you see the descriptions of what a draw? No. Okay.
No.
So that's disappeared somewhere. But anyway, so a complex trap can be made up of several different parts. A draw that draws you in, a prison that holds you in place while the kill mechanism works, and then sometimes there's an escape mechanism, and sometimes also you've got something that's got a complication like a backup kill mechanism going on as well. Could I say hi? So
right.
All right, here we go.
Hi.
Dados Tostados, hello.
Well, there you go. You got your shout out. All right. So there's that. Now, I, of course, am a big fan of monsters as well. Let's check out creating a monster. Oh, once again. We're gonna keep these traps. We're gonna add them right to our notebook. And let's go over and let's look at creating a monster, and let's create a monster.
All right. So the way that this works in the book is that there are several different types of monsters, beasts, horrors. So this one, you go ahead. You can play with it.
Okay. So in new monster, this new monster is a type that can be described as a horror. They're utterly alien to the surface world, dwelling deep beneath the ground in the dark depths of space, in the realms of dreams, in a horrid and alien dimension, or in the distant past or future. So, this could cover The Thing, xenomorphs, shoggoths, all sorts of nasty stuff. Type of horror out of the freezing depths of space. So I think we're kind of narrowing in on it. Barely intelligent, can be trained by powerful creatures or brute force over time. I'm definitely getting a Shoggoth vibe out of this. Nope. Basic form beetle has the attributes of a leech/slug, skin exterior, segmented armor plates. Other features: levitates or floats. That's just terrifying. And then we have description of chitin, carapace, or armored plates. If the R has chitin or armor, the chitin is yellow and is spiked with short spikes. That is positively Lovecraftian, and I'm scared out of my wits now. And then we get special attacks, of course, for AD&D fans. Of course, you have number of attacks, damage per attack, special attacks. This is kind of covering that. It has one special attack as a ray of eye stalks, affects sound damage. Sonic damage is a little hokey, but every once in a while it works, particularly with monsters based on real world animals that use echolocation or are known for producing a characteristic sound. Sonic damage wouldn't ordinarily cause collateral damage to items or equipment, but glass is a natural candidate for being damaged in this way. I recommend avoiding the concept of sonic damage. Sound works much better for mental control, combat penalties, preventing spell casting, and other, like your harpy song.
Yeah.
So
now
so
there's another thing that maybe point out, especially in this one, is that there are each of these things in the index is a chapter, but you can get to the sub chapters as well. Try going into the index and clicking on the little box next to create monster. Let me see if we can open up the sub chapters here.
I'm sorry. So where are we going? We're going.
See the little box next to create monster. Click on that. No, not that one. And over in the index.
Oh, over in the index.
Yeah.
Oh, here, all the way over here.
There's some way of opening up the sub chapter. There we go. Okay. So this would let you decide, so if you're for sure that you want a golem or a construct or something like that.
Okay.
And this way you don't have to keep clicking over and over again until you get one of those. You go directly to construct and look at constructs, or giants and get giants and things like that.
Okay. Yes, we want to continue this time. So let's.
Now you're in the constructs area, and you've got the. There you get the thing for a construct.
Very nice. Now you've brought up something. Do we have those same options in other ones? Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. Look at that. We can go through and we can select all of these. Dungeon traps. We can look at basic traps or complex traps. We can come in. Yeah, we're going to come back to monsters, but we can do complex traps and generate. Oh, there's the draw, the prison, the kill mechanism, and so on. Dungeon map intrigues me, but dungeon map isn't working yet.
Dungeon map's the one that we already looked at. That's the thing where it gives you the schematic of the areas and the transitions.
Right. But yeah, I like that these have these indices, sub indices, I guess you would call these.
There are so many tables in this book, just in the book form. Not even when we're adding more stuff. Organizing it and doing the architecture for figuring out how to get to where you want to go is a major thing. Unfortunately, Brave Alice, Agis is the guy that's working on it. He's the head of that company. He's the one who's done most of the work with figuring out the overall organizational architecture of how to even get somebody from I want to look at this thing to how to find it. So, and I think it's a pretty good job.
Well, this is this is really cool, dude. I mean, I'm in love with this. I can have there's we're gonna come back to traps.
Does that say dragonic creatures?
It does say dragonic. Okay.
We got to change dragonic to draconic.
So this is just very slick. Vaughn Gifford asks, is everything that can be done with this app, is it in the Tome of Adventure?
Is everything in the app in the book? Well, the table designer, no. And so like that the generate an in thing, that's not in the Tome of Adventure design book. For this, I tried to avoid adding too much stuff to it yet at this phase. So
Mhm.
the answer is almost everything that's in this part, in the adventure design thing, is in the Tome of Adventure design. I did beef up one of the backstory tables to where something that you might discover would be taken from the villain's plan, and really that's not much of an addition, because a human being is going to do that in a half a second mentally, but for a computer you've got to actually do it. But I think the answer is that there's not very much that's new in the adventure design portion of this in terms of tables, but I can't guarantee that, because sometimes you see something and you're just like, oh, let me put in a couple more options. So there have been some little fixes and a couple of new tables, but for the most part what we're trying to do here is to say, okay, here's Tome of Adventure design, and then when we start really using the powers of a computer to do things like, say, it's this color. There are a lot of things where you can really deeply flesh out the description of something very easily when you've got a computer that would take forever if you were making people go from subtable to subtable in a book. That's probably going to be the next Kickstarter down the road.
Okay.
Will be a new module in here that does a lot more stuff.
Okay.
And I think that answers the question.
All right. All right. Very cool. Very cool. So what else have we got here to look at? I mean, other than looking at each specific type of monster and that sort of thing, have we got any other features here? Well, let me ask you this. If I'm just, I realize this isn't like I said, a beta stage, but hey, if Bill Sylvie, find myself using this, if I exit out, does it locally cache the notebook?
I have no idea. Now, I think Agis may be in the chat, and which I can't see because I'm in StreamYard, so I'm not actually watching the YouTube broadcast, or else I'm seeing me and Bill 5 seconds in the past. But if you're there, Agis, go ahead, hit an answer to that as to whether it'll cache. But I will get you an answer to that at some point in the future. But I have no idea.
Okay, well, all right. I would hope so. I would hope so, but I like with all beta software, I'll be careful, I guess is what I'm saying. I won't take anything for granted. I have to swerve off of this for a second. I once got caught up in the fun of using a Macintosh emulator. Actually, it was an Apple Lisa emulator on my PC.
You are really showing your age.
I am. I was having so much fun in Microsoft Word for the Lisa that I started writing, and I started getting great ideas, and I started writing stuff down, and I was having a lot of fun, and I just left it up as a background task in Windows. And Windows decided one night, time to update. It's been too long. Took it all right down. So, kids, save your work frequently.
And I do have the answer for you, because Augie's pinged me on the side. It will cache the results.
Woohoo! That is good to know. That is awesome to know. This is being streamed right off, like I said, right off my PC. So I don't want to shut it down, and you guys wind up looking at my email and a paused YouTube and a bunch of stuff, which it would absolutely do. You guys would VTT over to my main machine, and I don't want that. But I will try it out after the show. I can't wait to see that. And it does bring up another question. If it is cached locally, where is it cached? And can I get that file out right now? So ask them that. Ask him that. That's what I want to know.
Well, I think you're watching the show, so if you
answer, there's my question for you. There's my question for you. Will Mistretta's got a question. I know you're shocked. I know that just rocks you to your core that Will Mistretta has a question for you, Matt. But we're gonna put this up. Main screen turn on. What might be fun is if stretch goals are an option in a random Swords and Wizardry character generator feature, make any type of character at any level with a click. Well, I guess that's a statement, not a question, but
yeah, no, okay. I mean, I think we're going to do that. There's going to be some premium downloadable content, and there's also going to be just the stuff that gets put as examples into the table designer part of it. And that's not hard to do. The only reason I haven't done it is that the program that I was using when I was writing tables for the tester program, where I can actually see results, that one got superseded by a better version that's being used in the table designer. So I'm not writing any tables right yet that involve random number generation, but generating a swords and wizardry character is not hard at all. It's very, very easy to do.
I mean, at its core, it's an OD&D character.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, if I didn't do it, somebody else will have that done within a week after the Kickstarter is done. I guarantee you.
Well, there you go. Vaughn was saying, I want to use it now. Heck, yeah, I do. Well, we have our answer to our question. It will be saved on your PC, Mac, and you will be able to share the file with friends if you use Steam Workshop. Very exciting.
Yes, that's the table. If you design a table, there's the Steam Workshop thing allows sharing of tables. So it may be, it's hard. Oh, you never really know. It may be that people using this thing create an enormous mass of tables that are available for other people to use that you'll be able to go in and find. I mean, which could be way bigger than the Tome of Adventure design in terms of the effect that it has on the gaming community, if that's what happens. So that's another possibility out there.
Now, a question from Connect here. She asks, can one have multiple save scenarios if you run multiple games?
Multiple save scenarios? Yes. What you're going to be able to do, I'm not sure how the notebook will function with that, but you're going to be able to create file names and save stuff. So I think it may be that you only have one notebook at one time, but you're going to be able to save other stuff. I think that's going to be workable. That's been in mind and discussed as we were talking about how people were going to use this. So, so I think the answer is yes.
And RPG Stories just steps in yes and yes for the saves.
Okay.
So very, very.
Agis and I, we were talking about, hey, should we, go and do, both of us in these interviews? And he was like, very, very, politely said, anything where anyone's asking anything about technology or coding, I should probably be on that interview.
Well, send them the link right now.
Which is really a nice way of saying, okay, boomer.
My dude, you have the StreamYard link, RPG Stories. If you want to get in here,
all right,
send the link. If you,
I don't know if he'll want to or not, but let me find the link.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Well, no, I mean, he's got the answers to questions that I do not have the answers to. So let me copy this, and then Agis, I'm going to send you an email, and if you want to join in, you will be able to answer questions a lot better than I can. So.
Yeah, just it's mobile or desktop or whatever you've got. But yeah, because there's so many questions. Like I want to know format. That's always been a big bugbear for me. Is like, oh, you can create your own stuff. Cool. How do I do that? Well, you just need to learn a little SQL.
Yeah. Okay. I've just sent him over the link to join in. So we'll see whether or not he decides to brave your show or not.
All right. I will be a gentle, dare I say, loving host. So don't be afraid. Come on in and sit down. And that's what you get on this show, folks. I'm very nice.
This really is one of the most pleasant show environments to be a guest on, just because it's so very conversational. And I don't know whether that's because you and I have known each other for years, and that probably has a lot to do with it. And there are many YouTubers try and get that sort of feel with strangers, and some of them succeed really well because they're charismatic and others don't. But this is very, very, that's the reason why this is the first show that we're doing on this one, because I had no idea how this was going to work in terms of showing the thing and talking. And so it was a good sort of avenue to test it out and see how it works, to get across the idea of how this app works.
Well, I mean, this is slicker than snot on a doorknob. And hey, there's Aggie. Let me stand over there. So, good evening. Welcome.
Hello there.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on board. And this is really good. You've been sitting out there in the audience land. I don't know. It's a tough balance. It's like, do I want my audience numbers up and have you sit out there, or do I want more guests on and have you sit in here? Decisions. I got to watch my metrics, guys. But no, seriously, welcome and thank you so much. This is a neat thing.
Thank you.
You guys have got going here.
Thank you very much. I'm a shy guy. That's why I wasn't here from the beginning. Also, I live in the UK and I'm from Greece, so different timelines. But it happened to start watching and I couldn't stop. So yeah, here I am. Thanks for having me.
well, thank you for coming. So as I was asking Matt just before you popped on, so let's just hit the ground running. If I'm creating a table, if I've done this, right. what is my table format? Is it HTML? Is it, God help me, please don't be SQL, CSV? What is my table format?
All right. So none of that. So what we did, because we understand that there's people out there who might find difficult to write things down and use HTML. So what we are creating right now, it will probably be ready by next week. So we created a UX, a user experience, which is similar with what you see here in the UI you see here already, where basically you can type whatever you want. And you have a toolbar with simple clicks. You can click create a new table, and then you can click connect this table to the next table, and you can add titles, and then you can start typing the results you want the system to roll. So basically it's a UI-based thing where you don't have to write any code. And at the same time, we are creating this with an automatic way where if you don't want to type or work within the software, you can always go in your CSV or your TXT or your Word, write everything down and start copy pasting.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm sure, because I know one of the devs is listening now, and he's working on that. He was working all day, actually, not now. And we did like a share screen session. It looks really good. So basically, we give pretty clear buttons where the user can say, okay, create a table. Now let me add a line, the first line of the results, type whatever they want, then create a new line, type whatever they want. So basically, it is with HTML, but behind the scenes, everything is done with buttons and typing.
Okay.
In the front end. So it's pretty easy. Yeah.
You keep the whole conceit, you keep the whole user experience homogeneous across whether you're doing dev stuff or whether you're just interfacing with this on the front end. And I got to say, I'm a huge fan of that because I've seen so many solutions that basically involved, you just crack this open in Visual C editor and just go to town. I'm assuming you know how to write that, and no.
Yeah.
So
that's the problem. And I must say, because Matt mentioned it, he's not a boomer at all. And let me tell you why.
I missed it by that much, only a couple of years.
But basically what I want to say and praise him is that he recreated all the Tome of Adventure tables in a CSV, basically using HTML. And he learned to do that pretty fast, and he helped a lot with the programming. So it's not only our part, but he did a great job, and he keeps doing a great job. So he's really good at it.
Well, that's great. And I'm firmly Gen X. Don't come at me with that okay boomer nonsense. Any of you guys out there in the chat, you know who you are. But something like this that is that simple to use just seems like a real fun application, and I'm looking for. It's like my head is going in 100 different directions right now, thinking about stuff I'd like to see on this. And there've been Will in the audience had a couple of questions. Let's see. And Will just said, "Back me up. Gen X is the generation that knows how to work the dang computer." Thank you very much. But no, it's a great looking app. Oh, you got a shout out. From Krissa. I'm sorry.
Krissa. She's part of the group.
Oh, okay, great. Do you, Krissa? Do you want to come on?
Well, I can't believe that the whole team is awake. So
I can get 8 more people on this chat, and I'll do it. By God.
Well, Krissa is the main producer. She's the manager of the company, and basically she runs another project, but she helps with everything. And she's in Greece right now, so probably it's 4 a.m. there, and they're all awake. Yeah, they're all awake watching the show. So that's good.
Well, thank you all very much for watching the show. I think that's wonderful, and that's very, very flattering. I really appreciate it. That's right, Vaughn. We're 65 to 81, and people better not forget it. So I gotta ask the question, because I mean, like I say, this isn't just props. This is my gaming stuff. I play with this stuff all the time. These are my toys. When, where, and how did you? When did you first play Dungeons and Dragons? I'll just ask you that.
Me.
You.
Okay, so.
He knows when I started.
I know. I don't care about Matt at this point. You're my guest. Move over a chair, Matt.
So here's the thing. Back in the 90s in Greece, where I grew up, there was a huge satanic breakthrough, because we had in Greece some murders from a satanic cult. So my parents were really against D&D. But what happened is that my cousins, because, Greek Mediterranean family, lots of cousins. So my cousins were living in the UK, and they came back to live in Greece, and they brought the second edition Player's Handbook with them.
Okay.
So they taught me how to play. When I turned 15, I became the Dungeon Master, and that never changed. And to this day, I still play old school. I have to admit that although I'm an owner of a new VTT, virtual tabletop, and I basically write about tieflings, when I play with my friends, I still play second edition. So yeah, I do not really like the new stuff, to be fair. I prefer the more Lord of the Rings feeling that the older editions had. And
you're in good company, and we'll let you sit with a family, even though we're OD&D and 1E around here. We'll let you sit with a family. It's okay.
I do own first edition. My library is over there, and I have lots of first edition books. And I recently bought the Monsters Manual with Gayhack's sketches, which are amazing in my personal opinion. I understand why people don't like them now, but yeah. But yes, yeah. I'm an old school fan.
Good. That's awesome, and I love to hear that. I think there's a degree of dismissiveness that comes down from folks, particularly in the software arena. It's like, even if they are working on things like this, the attitude is, well, I'll do this for $1, but honestly, I couldn't give a fig about AD&D or AD&D 2E or OD&D or basic, and it really shows in the work, But here, knowing, Matt, obviously, he's going to have a tremendous fingerprint on this, and now knowing that where you guys are coming from, it makes me like it all the more. Also, I gotta say, I am I'm just kind of flabbergasted that you guys had a satanic panic in Greece in the 90s. The 90s was when
it all relaxed over here.
Yeah, over here it relaxed. We were like, yeah, they're just a bunch of nerds pretending to be elves on graph paper. Push them back in the lockers, But that was actually a thing in Greece in the 90s. I'm glad you got out from under that and got to play D&D, man.
Yeah, and I must say that the community is really growing nowadays in Greece, because back then we were like maybe 100 people playing, but now it's getting pretty famous. Yeah.
We actually have a very nice and pointed technical question. Maybe you can answer this. And I'm sorry for the window arrangement, but I'll get this off your face. You're not being censored, I promise. It'd be nice to output to RT if it could be pulled into desktop publishing program or convert to my preferred wiki markup, PM Wiki, and be rated platinum under wine. That is a heck of a lot of stuff, and I understand about 2/3 of it. So anything you can address there.
All right. So can you show the question again?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, because
sorry,
it's all right.
I get loaded up on sweet iced tea, and then my mouth outstrips my my screen.
So it'd be nice to output to rich text so it could be pulled into a desktop publishing program. Well, that's tricky. That's tricky because so here's the thing. What we are going to allow for sure is to export basically a save file. Like when you save something in Photoshop, let's say, and you have like a specific file. So you will have that file, you will be able to double click it, open the software again. Yeah. You will be able to export for PDF, TXT, or whatever. And just to mention that, if we finish with a PDF export, then all the rest are really easy to do. The PDF is the tricky part. And we will also allow people to go to Steam Workshop, share their own creations, and download creations from others. So we're hoping basically that this will turn up to be a community's tool. Now, exporting to import to another software or to desktop softwares, it's tricky because it involves like with copyright issues and things like that. Maybe in the future, not right now, not right away. That would be.
But what you can do though, you're going to be able to copy and select it. So if you drop it into a Word document, save it as RTF, then you're going to end up with something that is going to be pretty close.
Well, pretty much the same. Yeah. But it's tricky to start giving exports for other specific software. It's always tricky, and usually you have to talk with the other companies and the other devs, and it becomes complicated.
Okay, well there you go. I hope that I hope that gives you some hope for the future there, Dirty History and Hobbies. By the way, local 433 Gumby says nice guitar, Aggie.
Yeah, thank you.
What kind of guitar you got back there?
It's a Taylor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I used to work in the music industry before I jumped to the gaming industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to. That's in the past. I still record music for video games and sound effects. But
very cool.
No shows. Not anymore.
No shows, not anymore. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions here.
I did answer one question that somebody had asked, Bill, and I answered it in the chat, which was about whether it's going to be workable on a tablet. And the answer is yes. It's going to be.
Oh, great!
It'll be a separate key for a tablet, but there's going to be a tablet, and Aggie can fill in on this. But tablet, yes. Computer, yes. Phone, no.
Yeah. So basically, it's for.
I'll be back shortly, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be PC, Windows, Mac, Linux at some point later on, and tablets right away. The mobile is a different story. If we see a lot of requests, we might reconsider, but we feel that this is a tool where you need to spend some time, have your notebook next to you, export things, type things, research things, copy paste things. So because the way I see it, when you go and create your own generator, you have two amazing tools. So the first one is your own ideas. So you go and type and you create your own generator. But the new generation of people are really using AI chats So I guess they will start copy pasting things to create complex generators. So yeah, the mobile version needs a lot of work to be done because it's a different UI, a different experience. If we see a lot of requests, we are thinking about it, but not now, not right away.
By the way, I just got it hot off the press, everyone. It is Aggie's birthday. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you very much. It is my birthday, yes. Thank
And you
very much.
chose to hang out with us. I didn't even bring any cake. I am so sorry. Well, happy birthday. You're, let me see. I'm going to say you are 34, right?
I'm 40 actually, but I know I look young.
It's that Mediterranean living, I mean, I have been called sir at the grocery store quite enough. I think it's time to hit the gym. So yeah, no, happy birthday, man. And again, you don't look a day in your mid-30s. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So let me see. Lots of birthday shout outs now.
Thank you all.
Gosh, I had so many questions. So let me ask you this. While Matt's away, let me ask you this. Under the indexes, you have the sub indices under each section, and I will actually put this up on the screen. Let me see if I can figure this out here. How can I have this? Do that? Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay. All right. So we have the indices and then we have the sub indices. Will I, as a user, be able to create my own indices and sub indices?
Oh, well, here we start.
The question of the hour.
Yeah. So listen, I'll be 100% honest.
Okay.
So what we usually do when we create a software that allows people to also use the system to create their own stuff, we tend to keep some things for the original author. So the idea was that when it comes to Tome of Adventure design tables and everything Matt creates, we will have a little bit more features going on. So the initial idea was that the subfolders and the folders will be unique for the Tome of Adventure design tables, and also the reroll would be a special feature for the Tome of Adventure design tables. Okay. But as we were testing it, we saw that people will start asking, like, can I also do that? And can I also do that? So right now what we're doing basically is we are adding all the features to the My Generators category. And later on, yes, we will allow people to create folders to basically categorize their index in the My Generator sections in any way they want.
Okay.
So basically, we changed our mind, and whatever we give with Tome of Adventure design tables, we are also going to give it to the users when they create their own generators. Okay.
So there'll be, and I apologize for abusing this term because I know it's not exactly correct, but there will be a dev kit of sorts for the users.
Yeah, kind of. Basically, what we want to do is allow them to drag and drop the titles and connect them to tables and subtables. And
the thing is, Bill, that when you roll a result and there's a subtable, you've got to have that link to the subtable, and that's where it comes in. So if you want to pull in, the orc, pulling from a monster table is wearing a blue cloak. All of these are different tables, and so you've got to have a way of connecting those, and that's where the thing.
And the other reason we're going to allow the users to basically create folders and subfolders in their own thing is because if someone goes and downloads a lot of if this becomes famous, like in Steamworks, and people really throw out generators, and someone goes and downloads every generator the community creates, he will they're going to turn up with an index like scrolling down forever. So it would be nice if we allow them to create folders and subfolders as they go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. And I think you may have just answered my question, but will we see this, the indices, will we see sub-indices in sub-indices, like multiple nesting in the indices as stuff is created? I think you just answered my question. So if you said, yeah, I just told you that, that's fine. I completely understand.
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
Basically, here in the Tome of Adventure design, what we did, and it was Matt's idea, was like when you roll, let's say, create monster, what the system does, it searches through all the tables of the original book and just generates a new creature, like a new monster. So basically what the system is doing is first rolling what kind of monster this monster will be. Will it be like a beast or a construct or a giant? It generates that and then goes to the proper tables to give the characteristics, abilities, special attacks, and all of this. And then we thought, what if someone wants to actually go and create right away a giant instead of rolling and re-rolling until they see a giant? So that's why we decided to also create the subfolders for anyone who wants to go right away and choose something specific.
Okay. And I am digging this. Now, this might be a little esoteric, but what about the option or the ability to add art to things? Is that a feature coming down, or is that something you're not looking at, or what?
We're not looking at doing art at this point in time, and the partly just because any art that we have in there, we've got to have the copyright ability to use it. So either a license or what have you. So the art is light right now. Here's what I think people are going to do, and again, it's a lot of law of unintended consequences. I really don't know how people are going to use this thing. My guess is that a lot of people are going to take output from this, and then they're going to put it into AI software, both for art, which I'm not a big fan of AI art, but I think a lot of people are going to do this to get an image. One of the things that this does that we realized fairly early on was it creates phenomenal prompts for AI. So that's going to be something that people do with it a lot, I suspect.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, that brings up an interesting question, because just for as we say, shits and giggles, I've got a couple of AI clients locally on my machine, and yes, they're incredibly slow and they tend to hallucinate a lot because I don't have a supercomputer. I have a 4th gen Intel 32 gigs of RAM and a 1080 video card. I don't have what Chat GPT runs on when you access it on the web. But that kind of brings up an interesting idea, Matt, the possibility of interfacing this on the back end. If you do have a local client like Freedom GPT, like any one of those, to just get those generations back out. But we can have that discussion later. We might be going a little too far out to sea on that one, but that's kind of an interesting notice.
I'm pretty sure people are going to bootstrap that themselves at the end of the process. So
yeah, and just to be clear, that is above and beyond my abilities, right? I mean, I'm a 10 print hello 20 go to 10 guy. Now I gotta warn you here, Aggies. Orbital Air is getting ready to slap leather with you. He says, did you write requirements first, or are you doing it wrong? I'm a professional coder. So I think he's just having a little fun with you.
Yeah, no. So I have to admit something. I'm not a developer at all. So yeah, basically I'm the manager of the company, the producer. I don't have all the answers, but since you mentioned your the strength of your computer, I want to say that the requirements of this software are really low. So we really wanted any PC to be able to run this, no matter how old it is. And we made sure that, basically it can run on anything. And we've tested it in really old laptops and it works perfectly, and we're proud about that.
That's great. And I mean, just so the audience, and I told Matt this and the audience knows this, this is actually, I do have an install of Steam on this PC, but I am running this on my work PC, which is across the room. Steam was just like, oh no, I'll just stream it to you. And I can see how it's performing over there under the load of streaming and how this PC is behaving under the load of streaming. And it is silk. I mean, it is slick as snot on a doorknob. This is very, very responsive, whether I'm remote or I'm local. I have no, I have no issues at all with responsiveness on this. Any click delays are because this window isn't hot. It's like the first click makes it hot, and the second the mouse is reacting. But I mean, notebook up like that. I close it. We're back at the desktop. I come over here to another sub tab. And again, catching it out of the corner of my eye on the actual PC that it's hosted on, it's going the same speed. The frame rate is identical. So you guys did a fantastic job at optimizing this UI. I mean, I see so many things that are like, it's like, oh, it's a 270 meg Python install with a 0.5 gig database. What does it do? Oh, it generates random forests. Yeah. Oh, good Lord,
To be fair, right now it's basically UI art and text, and it runs like a database. But I'm sure Matt mentioned it before. Since this is like a first step for a larger project, because we have several ideas, we decided to create this in an engine rather than just code. Just leave options open for the future. So if we ever want to do more art, if we ever want to add any kind of animations, to be able to do it. But yeah, it turned out really well.
I think so. Yeah. I think you guys have done an absolutely amazing job with this. And I love the notebook. I love being able to jump back in here and just pick stuff up and throw it into the notebook. This is really slick, man. This is really, really slick. And I like what you guys have done a lot. Matt, you've really hit it out of the park. And Aggies, what can I say except unending praise? Now let me, of course, we all have to keep the lights on. What will this, outside of the Kickstarter, I'm a user 6 months from now, 10 months from now, a year from now, what is this going to cost me retail off Steam?
Well, I think the answer is $40. There's some downloadable content. We're gonna have some premium content that would add, to the price of it. But I think what we're looking at is basically $40, although less on a tablet. I think we're looking at about $10 on the tablet, although again that might be marked up since you're talking post Kickstarter. We really, we've got the Kickstarter pricing sort of set, but not the retail afterwards. So you kind of threw me a curveball in that because I wasn't ready for the after the Kickstarter part of that question. But the base pledge on the Kickstarter is going to be $40, and that'll get you a tablet key, and it'll also get you a Steam key, and it'll also get you a down. If you don't, there are some people who don't like Steam. So if you want a freestanding thing, it'll get you a download code for that. And so that's the base pledge on the Kickstarter. And then it's got a couple of the standard whistles and bells, like if you want to pay a little extra, you can get your name in the credits. And there'll be a commercial license, which is really not so much relevant for this version of the program, because that was from back when we were anticipating output that would be fairly crafted. because you really don't need a commercial license for most of the output you get from this. But if you are, just taking raw output from the program and saying, on your blog, here's the output for the day, there's a commercial license for that. But the base price of the thing is $40.
Now, I'm going to ask a question here, and both of you guys can weigh in on this, but I do especially want to hear your response, Aggie. Of course, we started the year off with a bang when Wizards of the Coast decided to grab the control yoke and drive Dungeons and Dragons nose first in the ground with their OGL shenanigans. And I mean, let's be honest, Matt. Let's just call it what it is. An attorney could take one look at this and say, that's a virtual tabletop. That's exactly what we were talking about with our licensing issues. How long has this been in development? And did that turn of events in January, February, did that give you guys pause? Did you have to step back and reassess at that point?
All right. No. Okay. I'll try to be 100% transparent. So our company, Brave Alice, and basically this is exactly how me and Matt got to meet and know each other. Mm-hmm. So we have a project called RPG Stories, which is basically a really, really big 3D world builder where you can use thousands of models to build any kind of environments for fantasy games, but also sci-fi and also modern tabletop RPGs like Call of Cthulhu or whatever. And then you get to invite your friends and play online, like in all other VTTs, but in a 3D environment. That was the project. This is how we started. So we are still developing that project because we just fulfilled our Kickstarter and we're moving on, doing more things. And when the whole OGL thing started, it was really scary for us because our main project was indeed a virtual tabletop. And we obviously followed the news. And I must say that the community really helped to force them to drop that out. I guess in the future they will come back. So basically, if you were creating a virtual tabletop like we did, we already knew that this was coming, because when you are in the industry, you can tell that you could tell that Wizards of the Coast and D&D Beyond were preparing something. This software, on the other hand, it's a totally different thing because basically it helps people become an author, or create quests and create generators. And it never even crossed our minds because it's not affected by this new OGL that obviously never came to be. So no problems. Of course, we didn't like the idea of this OGL at all.
Nobody did.
Yeah. We think it's really unfair for several reasons.
But the stuff in Tome of Adventure Design has never been OGL.
Yeah.
It's not rules. It's not based on rules. So that's just a regular. It's Matt's copyright works like regular old copyright law. When we do move on to phase 2 and begin, because obviously when we were talking about doing a dungeon map that populates, at that point, obviously you're going to need rules content. And so, sort of phase 2 is going to be adding, rules content for various things. And there we're covered because there's the Creative Commons license gives you enough of D&D to populate tables, with no problem. So, and then, stat blocks are coming from various other licenses. So this isn't really this isn't a product that's going to run very close to the issues with the OGL at all.
Yeah, true.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and just to finish the story, because I think it's funny. So back then we were really scared for our product, and we were trying to understand, okay, that's for the 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition. What's going on with that? any copyrights of the older editions and the old school. So I was talking with a friend, and he said, well, I have the right guy for you. His name is Matt Finch. He can help you with that. So we got a call. I asked a bunch of things about the older editions and the copyrights and the OGL. And then he mentioned Tome of Adventure design. And I said, we need to do this digitally. And this is how it all started, basically. So the OGL brought us together. That's a good thing.
Well, I just want to know who called this meeting of old school people and didn't invite me. That's, I guess I could take offense at that, but whatever. But no, so we actually, there are a couple questions, and guys in the chat, you guys it's been like lightning and I love it. So if I've missed a question, please just re-ask it. You know how you can highlight it, so I'll see it. I'm just saying. But if you didn't see it pop up, just give me a minute. We've got company. Let me hop over here. As you can see, Aggies, this show is the height of professionalism and high production values. So I hope you appreciate that. But Dirty History. Dirty History says, my two off-topic questions for fellow Matt are, is the Elf license still going forward? Will we ever see the return of Uncle Matt's Neighborhood / 5DM tips to YouTube? I know the answer to the second one, but I'll let you.
Okay, and I'm actually going to step back to a question even before that one, which was it was somebody who was looking at the monster categories and was asking, where are these coming from? These 3E, 4E, and the answer is that it's really none of those. Those are the category. I started with first edition, and then I was like, well, okay, well, here's a good idea from third edition. And so those categories of monsters are basically just where I thought folklore shook out in terms of this is a workable category of monster that has the same tables. It was done during the Pathfinder era. I would say it was definitely after third edition. So I was looking at Pathfinder and I was looking at third edition at that time, and I had wanted to start with first edition, and it's just sort of a jumble of all of those, and then taking out the ones that didn't work, mixing them in with other categories. Like the planar creature subcategory category actually has several categories that are very, very different from each other. Like a planar visitation is just something that's an effect that crosses planes, but it has an effect that's like a monster, somewhat more than a hazard. And then at the same time, you've got planar travelers who are the sort of denizens of Lang, or traders, or Githyanki, Githzerai, things like that sort of thing. So that's how that came about. Is it was almost determined by the tables that worked together to create the categories in a backwards fashion. So it's not actually from any rule system.
Excellent. Thank you.
And so then we had the question about the Elf license. The Elf license is actually released already. Anybody can use it. You can get it at our website, which is mythmeregames.com. It's the user guide or something like that for the Elf license, and then the license is included in there. And that anybody can use, and it's live. So that is ongoing. Uncle Matt's D&D Neighborhood is probably not going to show up again, partly because just of the difficulty of working with the cameras was just got to be too much for me. So I'm not going to do that. I may, however, because Susie is trying to get me to DM an online game every month, so I may do something like that in the future, but it won't be on that channel, partly because I've lost my password.
Well, I'll drag you kicking and screaming onto this show. Never fear.
I can always ask my guys to find the passport, by the way.
Well, we can talk about that. I haven't been able to find it.
I tell you what. If I can get you and Aggie, if I can get you and Chris and your team on here, I'll get up early one morning or stay up late one night or something. I'll figure out how we can make that happen. I mean, one of my co-host on Wednesday nights, Kyle Schuant, is in Australia. Okay, we make a world sandwich when we do our show. He's up at like 11 o'clock in the morning when I'm doing, the 9 o'clock at night from the previous day show. So if you guys want to come on, I'll make it work. I'll figure out how to make it happen. I promise.
Well,
But it's up to you. It's up to y'all. It's up to y'all.
You should do some show about their VTT too at some point, Bill, because it's cool. The graphics are cool as shit. It's a really, really neat VTT.
Yeah,
excellent.
Well, I mean, as you can see, we never sleep apparently. I can already see that tomorrow morning, no one will be on time for work. But anyway.
Sanitize your code base. There's going to be a bunch of bugs tomorrow. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I'm kidding. A question thrown at you and I, Matt, is my extremely topical question was if Bill and Matt are planning to make GaryCon. I realistically, I don't see how I can. I'm you guys know what the Delver's Dungeon budget is. It's zero. So I don't predict that happening.
Has anybody bought you coffee yet in this thing, on this live stream? Because I think it's my responsibility to make sure that somebody throws you a tip at some point.
No. I have not seen one come through. So,
all right, shame on you guys. Come on, somebody ante up a little bit.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that very much.
So my answer to the GaryCon one is not this year, because now we will be at North Texas, just because that's close. Susie and I moved to Texas, so we're no longer right in the middle of the Midwestern cons anymore. So we have to actually travel. So it's going to be when I'll go to any con that makes me a special guest, pretty much. But what for GaryCon and Gamehole Con, it's a question of do we have enough books for a booth? And I think the answer is we probably actually would have, but didn't know that at the important time that we would. So this time around, no. After that, probably GaryCon is going to be the next one that we add to our circuit. So we probably will be at GaryCon, but not coming here.
Well, I tell you what, if Aggie and company are going to be there, I'll sell a kidney.
Aggies.
I'm saying Aggies.
I hear Aggie like a
No.
That's let me interrupt here. So, as you all know, Greek is a really weird language. So
there we go. We got $2 from Vaughn. Thank you, Vaughn.
The funny thing is that my name is Agis. Yes, okay. So Agis, that's correct. But when you call someone, it's Aggie actually, because so that's 100% correct. Well done.
I thumb my nose at you, Matt.
I accept the thumbed nose.
Good. And thank you very much, Vaughn. I appreciate the super. See, Vaughn knows what time it is. But no, that's fine. But if you guys, is that acceptable, Matt? Can I say you guys to the dev team? If you guys,
you can even say y'all,
or the plural here in the South, all of y'all, ever, if I find out you guys are going to go to GaryCon, I'll sell a kidney, I'll sell a cornea to get up there so I can meet all of y'all in person, because this is a stone group, because it's so rare that I get to look at something that's as cool as this application, and this is for scatterbrained DMs like me, and I am pretty scatterbrained. This is great. You're talking to a guy who has a multiple megabyte notepad document of campaign notes. Think about what I just said, a multiple megabyte notepad document. They're not supposed to be that big.
Yeah.
Bad things happen when you have notepad documents that big. Something like this is a lifesaver, and I'm just digging on it. Let me see. Magnificent Devil says, use guys. I'm sorry, we don't speak Ohio here. But anyway, is there a vocative in Greek? I don't know. Orbital Air says Notepad++. I think I may have that installed. My Windows install is so ancient. So once this is out there and the community has their hands on it, of course, development's going to drive forward, right? Matt had said something, and Matt, I apologize if I'm putting words in your mouth. Correct me if I'm wrong. But did you say that this was something that could be dovetailed into a VTT, or am I completely misremembering?
Not a VTT. It can be dovetailed into AI by using the things as prompts. But the VTT connection requires a human being.
Okay. And I'm glad I asked. I didn't want to just say, "Oh."
Now, what it will be able to do, in a later version, a map that's generated using the RPG Stories map generator can be populated with this, because it'll be the same program. So there, you'll see every once in a while, little connections that can be made, but it's not something where this isn't really the kind of thing that works. A VTT is a play aid. This is a creation aid. So,
right on. Well, all this is simply amazing, and let me see here, Matt. Just for the sake of the chat, if you would shoot me in the backroom chat there, if you would shoot me the Kickstarter link, and then I'll paste it up so everyone can see that and go to it. It's down in the description, but I understand some of you guys, you might be on mobile or something like that. So drop that in the backroom chat, and I'll put that up on screen. And
I already did.
Oh, you already did? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, use this one, because we've got one that is specifically for for Bill's show, so that we can track it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no,
that's quite all right. So there you go, guys, and I'm going to put that up on screen too, just so you can see that if you want to take a few minutes to hammer that out, even though it unfortunately blocks part of Aggie's face.
That's correct.
Thank you. But I hate to sound redundant here, but Collecting Chaos, thank you, has seen and raised. Thank you very much. That's the kind of love we like to see. Thank you for the super collecting. Thank you.
Nice.
I got I have to scramble back. I got content struck last night. We dropped a little bit of a very funny Australian sitcom in our video last night because my Australian co-host was here, and lo and behold, got up this morning and YouTube didn't care for that, so I had to fix it. But thank you for turning your pockets out for me. I appreciate it, Collecting. But yeah, so go and check out that. Follow the reference link there that Matt put up, so they can get stats and know how unimaginably popular my live stream and replays are, and it will help them track that. And again, that same link that's on the screen, like if I take it off, don't panic. It's down in the description. You can just copy and paste it into another browser tab. I say another browser tab because you want to keep a browser tab open to my channel at all times. And if you're just stopping by and you haven't already, please do click the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications, because I do old school Dungeons and Dragons live stream 5 nights a week. We have awesome guests like Matt and Aggie on the show. A lot of times next week, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think next week, Eric Garland and Heidi Gygax are going to be here. It's going to be, it's just a lot of fun. And we play games, as a guy who has to look at a screen to run AD&D games for you guys, something like this. How many times have you guys heard me go, the bartender's name is Bartholomew, and he runs the Black Horse Inn. And you guys are sitting out there like, his name was Benji, and it was the Black Main Inn last week. What the hell, Bill? Well, now I have no excuse because I have this. So, yeah, something like this is going to be awesome for things like that. And yeah, that's Monday to Friday, usually around 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock, until I run out of funny stuff to say or my guests block me on all social media and leave. But however it shakes out, again, please like and subscribe. And leave a comment down below. That really helps too, because what it'll do is it'll boost this video up, and then Matt and the whole team will see more traffic driven, and they'll know where it's coming from over here. So
because the tough member of the team is actually Risa.
Risa. Okay.
Good.
She's yes.
Yeah. And I think she was lighting up the chat earlier, wasn't she?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I by the way, Risa, I hope you have gone to bed. I hope you are asleep and not dreaming in code. Just warm beaches and sunshine right now is what I hope you have on your mind. Patty's Parlor, good evening. We're doing fine down here. We had for those of you who may not know, we had a storm blowing down. It was several hundred miles north and to the west of me. Well, a couple of 100 miles north and west of me, but it was actually not that bad. The worst part was the flooding. It brought like a 9-foot tidal surge in, but we're all fine. So if you look at a map of Florida and you see the little funky crinkly part where Tampa is, and then the little bulge out where the Space Center is, I'm a little closer to that outward bulge. And the storm, like I'm down here and the storm came through there. So we got like some breezy rain yesterday and the day before, but the folks over here, 9-foot storm surge.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about you until you just said that, because you were.
Yeah, no, we're fine. Last year we got nailed twice, and that was not a lot of fun, but we rode it out. But no, we're all fine down here. So we're still here. Oh, thank you, Risa. You're still here and you'll never leave. That does my heart good. So the Kickstarter is currently going on, and I'm going to pop this open. I want to take a look at this because again, we might have some folks who are not, maybe you're mobile, maybe you don't, you don't have this up. So I want to take a look at this. It is notifying to launch. It is not up yet. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to miss this, it hasn't launched yet. Follow it. And get ready for some awesome stuff. Get ready to back this bad boy and help this awesome team of developers and awesome Matt out with what, to my mind, is a pretty darn good tool. And I think most of you guys out there who've seen it agree with that. But any other thoughts from either one of you guys, or from Lisa out in the chat? Any additional thoughts? Anything that you'd like to say that I didn't ask? Anything that somebody asked but I didn't mention? Oh, Collecting Chaos. Thank you very. Or no, that's from the start. I just thought for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think we've covered most of the things. It was like I wasn't even sure, how this was going to work. The whole, having the picture of the thing up, whether it would be more like an interview or where we were going to go. And so, I think we've got, I think what we do is that as we get closer to launch, or maybe after the launch, when we've got the more of the demo, available and so on and so forth, is, let you play with it again, and do another show, later on. We'll probably have, better information about, post Kickstarter pricing, things like that. Would be good, and we will do big promotion on that show and bring a lot of people in to watch it.
Oh, unquestionably, and I would love that. And anytime you, Aggie, your team, anytime you guys have got something you want to talk about, a new feature, a whole new project you're doing, just reach out to me. I'm a very accessible dude. Okay, I mean this is my TV playhouse, right? So anytime you just reach out to me like, hey, Bill, can you? And yeah, if you're free on the equivalent of a Thursday night, and you can pump some coffee into that dev team if they want to be here too, then by God, man, absolutely, you can come on.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It will be an honor. I guess what I thought after watching this show and participating in the show, I think it would be a fantastic idea when we have the table designer ready so that you can create your own generator. It will be amazing to watch you creating a generator. I think it will be really cool and funny at the same time.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and if nothing else, I'm good for a few laughs. I do provide a few yucks here. Vaughn, you ask a good question, but I will. You know what? I think it's an automatic thing. I think it's. I don't think you have to go in and manually do anything with your YouTube membership. Which this is not directed at Aggie and certainly not at Matt or any of your team. But if you're out there and you'd like to support the show, we now have YouTube memberships, and you can support us on Patreon. Right down there at the bottom of the screen, you can see the info at the $10 level on Patreon or on YouTube memberships. Every month, you get a free first edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons mini module, a short adventure you can fit into a campaign just like that. You got a party going from point A to point B, and just before the game ended this week, they found an abandoned tower. You might find something there for as little as $10 a month. But hey, if you don't want that, but you just want to see just a little bit of extra out of the show, you can support us for as little as $1 a month on Patreon or $2 a month on YouTube. And it's $2 a month on YouTube because $1.99 is the lowest I can set it. I'm sorry. if that's too tight for you, support me on Patreon if you want. I'm sorry, what were you about to say, Aggie?
Nothing. I'm just writing down right now to Chrissa to post about this tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll wrap up there. It has been an absolute joy having you here, Matt. I need to get with you and talk to you. There's some things going on.
Okay.
You're probably aware of, but I need to catch you at a later time, probably tomorrow.
Okay.
But thank you, Aggie, for being here. And again, you are absolutely welcome back. Thank you to my audience. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you, everyone, for the supers this evening. You're all, of course, super. Thank you, Risa, for powering through the night. I can't even imagine. Get a nap today. Look, if Aggie stops by your cubicle and you're asleep and he starts to give you any trouble, just ping me over social media. I'll fix it.
Trust me, the whole team and me as the boss, we are begging her to go on vacation at some point, but she's a workaholic and she will never fix that. She just loves her job.
Oh,
yep.
Well, it's fun to have something you love. So don't worry, Vaughn. I won't. You're good. Don't panic. So until then, boys and girls, tomorrow night we'll be back. We're going to be playing some first edition Gamma World here. All right, some post-apocalypse fun tomorrow night right here on the show. So, those who play, you be here and get ready to get mutated. Those who watch, get ready to laugh as they get mutated. But until then, everyone, with extra special thank yous and goodbyes to Matt and Aggie, I'm going to warn you all, please do keep your eyes peeled for those deadly owl bears. I love you all. Peace. Be good to each other.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to